All right, guys, so we got to talk about this speech that Dylan Mulvaney gave at the Virgin Atlantic Attitude Awards, where Dylan won the award for Woman of the Year. Now, as many of you guys know, Dylan is a transgender influencer, and I think that the things that Dylan was saying in this interview was fascinating, and I think it's worth a response. And I want to react to it, but before I get into it, I gotta give a disclaimer here for the YouTube moderators. In no shape, way, or form is this hate or harassment towards Dylan Mulvaney. I am not saying anything personal about Dylan as a person or Dylan being trans. It is simply a response to the arguments that Dylan is making. Okay, so I'm responding to Dylan's arguments. I'm not criticizing Dylan as a person or say anything hateful about Dylan. I have to make that clear because, in 2023, apparently engaging in arguments, right, can be seen as a form of, hate and bigotry, right? So you got to make it clear that's not the intent here, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
The Woman of the Year award, supported by Virgin Atlantic, goes to Dylan Mulvaney.
Hello, London! I am so honored to be here with you all tonight. And, some see me as the Woman of the Year. Some see me as a woman of a year and some change, as I only publicly came out online 560 days ago. And some people don't see me as a woman at all. I know, which is why receiving this honor from a queer publication like Attitude means so much more to me. Because here's what I've realized. You ready? Okay. So, no matter how hard I try, or what I wear, or what I say, or what surgeries I get, I will never reach an acceptable version of womanhood by those hateful people's standards.
Okay, so this is my issue with what Dylan is saying here and why I disagree. Dylan is basically saying that, well, if you don't accept me for my reality and my truth, then therefore you are hateful, which again is fascinating because, Dylan is allowed to freely and openly call anybody that disagrees with Dylan hateful. But the people that Dylan is calling hateful are not really allowed to respond to Dylan and to say, no, well, I just simply disagree with your worldview without being called hateful, right? And that's where we're at in 2023, okay, where people can freely call other people bigots and hateful just simply for having a disagreement. I just don't agree with your worldview. I don't agree with your reality, okay? And that's fine. It's a simple disagreement. But again, if you disagree, you're hateful. You're a bigot. You're transphobic. But you're not allowed to defend yourself and to respond and to say, no, I'm not hateful. I'm not bigoted. I'm not transphobic. I just don't agree, okay? I don't think we should have to live in a world where you are required to acknowledge somebody else's reality or else you're hateful, right? I'm just saying, because that's what's happening here, right? That's what's happening. And that has broad and sweeping implications that is a big, big, big issue in our society.
But as long as I have the queer community that sees me for my truth, I'm going to be okay. And I'm equally grateful that this title is happening in the UK, and not just because I am deeply attracted to your accents, which I am, but because I came to London on holiday this summer after months of feeling isolated. And when I arrived, I didn't feel that baggage that I was carrying back in the US. And I didn't feel like the trans beer girl. I didn't walk into rooms and wonder, oh, does that person hate me?
Yeah, so again, here's the thing. If you are an influencer, right? If you sign up to be famous, regardless of whether or not you're trans, regardless of your skin color, regardless of your gender, regardless of your sexuality, people are not going to agree with you. Everybody's not going to agree with you. Okay? Everybody's not going to love you. Everybody's not going to want to be your friend. And that is a reality that is true for every influencer, okay? Guys, I can't tell you how many videos I've watched of people calling me all types of names, racial slurs, mainly black liberals, right, who disagree with me, okay? Calling me all types of slurs, all types of stuff. And you don't see me coming up here and every time I talk, trying to play victim and trying to pretend like, oh, well, you know, it's so bad for me because there are people that, you know, disagree with me and they say bad things about me. When if you are an influencer, if you put yourself out there online for the world to see, you're basically signing up for people to say things about you that, hey, you're not necessarily going to like it or you're not necessarily going to agree with it. If you are a conservative and you go on a college campus, right, you're a mainstream conservative, let's say you're a Ben Shapiro type or even a Riley Gaines. We saw the harassment that people like Riley Gaines experienced simply from going on a college campus. Okay? This woman was literally chased on campus throughout a building just because she gave a speech defending a woman's right to participate in sports without having to participate against a biological male or having to share spaces with a biological male. Simply because she had an opinion that woke activists disagreed with, they harassed her for it. But yet you don't see the media giving Riley Gaines awards for being a brave woman, right? She's not getting a Woman of the Year award, even though, in my opinion, she is a modern day civil rights activist. However, the people that are supposed to be oppressed, that are supposed to be victims, they are getting awards, right? They're getting the Women's of the Year awards. They're going to the Met Gala. They're going to the Oscars. They're going to these ceremonies. They're getting sponsorships. They're getting rich. They're getting praise. They're getting worship. But yet, we're told that, hey, they're supposed to be oppressed. And again, I'm just trying to figure out how in the world can people continue to make an argument that they're being victimized or that they're oppressed when they're loved by the world, so it seems, right? I'm just saying. That's what it looks like to me. So again, I'm confused because Riley Gaines, she's not getting these types of awards. She's actually really sacrificing her career, her livelihood for a cause. And again, she's not getting the same praise for it. But yet society doesn't see her as a victim or oppressed because she's a straight white woman who is fighting for what she believes to be an issue that is a women's rights issue. Again, it's absolutely amazing. It really is. But again, my point is that anybody who signs up to be some type of influencer or famous or a celebrity or whatever, like, you're going to face some type of pushback. Everybody is not going to love you, okay? It has nothing to do with you being trans or whatever. It has everything to do with the fact that when you're famous, yes, people are not going to like you. Everybody's not going to love you.
I was just another gal walking around in a Burberry trench on her way to a West End musical. And, you know, I romanticized this country as a safe place. And as dangerous as it is for trans people here right now, like the hate that was spewed last week, maybe it's less about where we are and more about who we're with. And that if I'm surrounded by people like you all, that this still can be one of my safe spaces.
And that's great. That's awesome, right? That's awesome. People that agree with you, you're in that space. That's great. That's awesome, right? You're being praised. But don't sit here and try to act like that the world hates you when you are getting awards and you're getting praised everywhere you go, right? You're massively benefiting. But see, here's the reality. The reality, just like a lot of these people who make their living, you know, saying that they're oppressed or that the world doesn't like them, they have to continue to play the role of being oppressed or victimized in order to continue to make money, to gain fame, to keep getting these awards, right? So again, once you come out and you say, I'm not oppressed and I'm, happy because I have all this fame and I'm getting all these awards and these accolades and all this, whatever, right? At that point, that's when the money stops flowing in, right? That's when the clout, the praise starts flowing in, because again, what a lot of these people are monetizing is this idea that they're oppressed. And that's what's happening here.
So, when you have a win for trans rights, that's a win for us back in the States too. And I think if we all just adopt a girl's girl mentality and we say goodbye to the scarcity complexes, that we have a better chance of getting through this, because they want us to be in competition with each other. They would love nothing more than to see the L's and the B's and the G's turn their backs on the T's. And to quote the critically acclaimed High School Musical franchise, "We're all in this together." I know, almost as profound as Shakespeare. But I wanted to give a quick shout out to some of the girls in my life, both cis and trans, that have helped me break away from my scarcity and step into my womanhood. Firstly, my mom, for navigating being the...
Yeah, so I'm not going to go through the whole speech here. This is, what Dylan's saying. Again, my point here is that I'm still having a hard time trying to figure out how somebody is the victim of hate and bigotry and oppressed when, you're winning awards, you're getting rich, you're getting famous, you're getting invited to the White House. Essentially, anybody who disagrees with you, right, is labeled as hateful or bigoted. Okay, like there's a veil of protection from the media that is granted. And yet, again, we're still crying oppression and victimhood, even though that's just clearly not the case. I mean, it's truly fascinating, right? I mean, the point of this video is really to contrast what somebody like Riley Gaines is going through as an actual civil rights activist, somebody who's actually really fighting for what I feel like is a cause, a worthy cause for women who I think should have the right to have their own spaces, okay, versus somebody who, again, the media says, and they say themselves, well, I'm a victim, I'm oppressed, but they're getting awards and accolades seemingly on a daily basis, right? I mean, I'm just saying, I just find this to be fascinating. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.